Well, the Syrian President Bashar al-Assad's office is calling this U.S. strike reckless, irresponsible behavior in a statement they released this morning, accusing Washington of making rash action and being dragged into what they're calling a false propaganda campaign against the regime. Now, they have been adamant they did not use chemical weapons, but that a government airstrike hit a stockpile of an al-Qaeda affiliate on the ground. And the president's office saying this will not discourage them in their fight. And in fact, this morning, there are reports of more airstrikes in the area of that chemical attack on Tuesday, one of the last opposition strongholds. So Russia, its ally, is calling this an act of aggression and a violation of international law. The Defense Ministry today even making a claim that Washington planned this before the Tuesday chemical attack. So they're calling right now for an emergency UN Security Council meeting and have suspended a deal with the U.S. military that they had to coordinate air traffic over Syria. So along with demanding a serious explanation from the U.S., they say there are plans now to strengthen Syria's military defenses. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov says these actions from the U.S. Remind him of that situation in 2003 when the U.S., Britain, and its allies attacked Iraq. One Russian MP this morning even going as far as saying this situation may lead to a repetition of the Cuban Missile Crisis. Michael?
So obviously condemnation from both Syria and Russia there, but we're also getting a sense of a very different tone from America's more traditional allies.
Well, and we heard from Canada, and we're hearing similar statements, particularly from the UK government, saying, it fully supports the U.S. action, calling it an appropriate response to, quote, the barbaric chemical weapons attack launched by the Syrian regime and is intended to deter further attacks. Now, the European Commission spokesperson had this to say on behalf of the Commission president this morning.
President Juncker has been unequivocal in his condemnation of the use of chemical weapons. The repeated use of such weapons must be answered. He understands efforts to deter further attacks. There is a clear distinction between airstrikes on military targets and the use of chemical weapons against civilians.
Now, the message from them, though, that efforts to find peace should be redoubled, but that only a political transition can lead to that outcome. A sentiment similar to the one in a joint statement from France and Germany calling for the UN process to try and find a peaceful solution to the Syrian crisis. And not long ago, the Turkish government came out saying, this is a major foe of the Assad regime, saying the U.S. strike is a positive development, but it's not enough, calling now for a no-fly zone in Syria to prevent any further attacks from the Assad regime.